network marketing totally revolves around ritualistic recognition. Totally. It revolves far more around that than it does money, because 90% of the people aren't making any money. They're not really even there to make money. That's not why they're there. In many cases, they're there for this. So when you leave it out of anything you're doing, you make a mistake. And if you inject it, and you inject it in a way that there's peer pressure, that it's public, okay, it has even more power. So when I was in the National Speakers Association, which again, supposed to be professionals in a professional trade organization, not children in Indian guides after their next ribbon because they tied a knot the right way. But hell, that's what goes on. I have a very good friend who literally it's a major contributing cause to his premature death, his pursuit of ritualistic recognition in the National Speakers Association, because he was unnecessarily on the road 250 days out of the year to get their damn badges. And because their Certified Speaking Professional Award, now it may have changed, I don't know, because I've been a member for quite some time, but when I was a member, the way you got Certified Speaking Professional was, amongst other things, I think you had to have given 150 or 200 paid speeches. So first of all, they had to be paid. So like Zig, me, see, we wouldn't qualify because we didn't get fees. We sold stuff. I got to the point I got both, but many of the big platform salespeople, they never got fees. So they would be ruled out to start with. You had to get a fee. So a $500 fee from the Elks Club in Sheboygan, that counted. Making $100,000 from the stage, selling stuff, that didn't count. Okay? That engagement didn't count. Okay? So this guy's out going and doing stupid gigs just to chalk up the number, right? And all whatever it was of them, 150, 200 of them, only one per client counted. So if Bill brought me in 4 times this year to speak to his people, that only counted as one. Okay? So it was really important not to be good enough that you got invited back, because it got in the way of earning this award. And he actually turned down repeat gigs, gave them away to other speakers because it wouldn't count, and he wanted this award. Now think of how stupid this is. And I would say to him, I can understand a 14-year-old, but Jesus Christ, you're 42. You know? I mean, you should have outgrown. No, see, most people do not. It's in there, and it's easy to trigger. So it's very, very powerful. So when you create ritualistic reward and recognition in what you do, you will automatically have more power over more people. They can't really help being affected by it because it's been baked in so much. So if you look at, again, at political fundraising, so both parties do a great job, by the way, with fundraising. Most candidates do a crappy job. It's always irritated me because the party goes and raises a bunch of money, and they do it smart. And then they give it to candidates who piss it away doing stupid shit. I'm going, doesn't make any sense, right? But the parties do a great job of this. So if you've never seen this, give $500 to whichever party you like, you'll be on the list. Okay, they do a big job with this. I mean, there's layers of pins, and they have fancy names for bundlers, and they have functions where everybody comes and the people come up on stage. You're seated at different tables based on how much money you gave or raised. You got them with pins, like a kid with Disney pins. On a lanyard, at the cocktail party, all that is with people giving $50,000 to political parties. Rich, old people, doesn't matter. They still want ritualistic recognition. Right? They also do make-believe stuff. We'll talk about that. I'm a little ahead of myself, but I'll make the point. So if you start to get solicited at the party level or at like the think tank organization level, you will often be invited to like special executive briefings about the strategy for the coming campaign. Of course, it's all bullshit. You're not, it's lunch. I mean, you're not, you're not a participant in this process, right? It's pretend. And everybody goes, and there's some recognition that goes on, and then they sit at a table of 8, and they all come up with strategy, and they all fill out forms, and they all write checks, and they go home, and everything goes in the trash. I mean, it's nonsense. But it's ritualistic recognition, and people respond to it, and they almost can't help themselves from responding to it. And it works in business. So one of the biggest chiropractic practices I work with personally, when we got this guy, he had a single doctor practice. His office was about this size. This is a number of years ago, so for you young ones, you're going to have to ask somebody. But he had a wall phone. I mean, you're just going to, I don't know, Google Donna Reed, and when you see the kitchen scene in the black and white, you'll see it. Okay? And so he had a wall phone. So he literally would be one hand on your back and answering his own phone because he didn't have a staff person. I mean, he was poor. Right? 3 years later, he's doing $3 million a year. And one of the things he did really well was his monthly patient luncheon with ritualistic recognition. He got it. When I explained the Amway PIN system to him, he said, I got it. We'll just give the same pins, but we'll give them for compliance and referrals. So everybody came to lunch, and you could bring as many people as you wanted with you. And part of the luncheon was, so there was a guest speaker, some health person, and he spoke. But the big gig was the awards ceremony. And so a bunch of people had their little gold pin because they had referred somebody. And then, so everybody getting new gold pins for the first time all came up on stage, and they all got their gold pins. And people took pictures, and their mom was there, and so proud of them because they got a gold pin. And then the ones who had referred 3 people all came up, and they took the gold pin, and they gave them the pin with the little emerald chip in it. And then everybody that had referred 6 came up, and they took their emerald pin away from them, and they gave a little pin with a little ruby in it. Carrie and I just literally copied the Amway pin system because it's the one I knew. We just copied it. Right? And it magnificent. Got the point, 600 people at lunch. 100 patients, 500 spectators. How good do you have to be to walk out of there with 50 new patient appointments? Not very good. It doesn't take much. You got to not have horns, and you got to not say anything really stupid. That's like the performance requirements. The rest of it sort of takes care of itself. And who was there getting their pins? All dumb people? No. Doctors, lawyers, business people, sales people, of course, soccer moms, but you name it, they're there because it's an environment where they get ritualistic recognition, and their other environment does not contain that. There's a great episode of Married with Children. If you don't know that show, it's like a sitcom. It's the first really reverse sitcom, right? There's some semblance to Honeymoon, to the old Jackie Gleason Honeymooners, but harsher. And so the main character is a guy by the name of Al Bundy, and Al, does not have a great life by any stretch of the imagination. But this episode, you probably find it. The one thing he does have is he has a bowling trophy. And he has maintained this position of being the number one bowler at his bowling alley for many years. That's like the one thing he's got. And his wife, Peggy, who has never bowled before, finally goes bowling, which, by the way, you never want to do this. Right? If you actually, you got a hole-in-one trophy from your country club, never take your wife there and let her golf. Or vice versa, don't take your husband. Whatever it is you got that is your one thing, this spouse will screw it up for you. This episode's very real. Very real. My girlfriend for 2 years in high school, first date, take her to the track, right? And so I spent 3 days handicapping, because you want to show off. I'm ready, right? And I'm spending money like there's no tomorrow. I'm betting 4 horses in the same race by the time the night's over because I got to cash a ticket, right? She is picking the horse she's betting on by, this is still in, I could replay the night for you. I can tell you how much I lost by each successive race. It never left. She is picking the horse she is betting on by the owner line on the program that lists who owns a horse, has the city, the town that they live in. She is picking the horse she is betting on by an owner's town that she has never been to. This is her system. And she is kicking ass and taking names. I can't cash a ticket. I'm 17 and I'm down $4,000 by the 8th race. I can't. It's like I never saw a horse before. And she's cashing tickets. We dated for 2 years. I never took her to the track again. Never. So Peggy, who's never bowled before, in her high heels, for God's sakes, heaving the ball like this, right, beats his record. That's the episode. And now the last thing Al had in his life, the only thing to be proud of, is taken away from him. But think of how much is driven by bowling trophies, golf trophies, all of this. And when it's publicly recognized, it's driven even more. So it's baked in, it's there, waiting to be pushed. So a lot of charities miss it, by the way. So they have the front end of this thing kind of wired, and then they drop the back end. They never ritualistically recognize their donors and their supporters. So 10:18, we'll take a 15-minute break or a little less. So we'll start at 10:30, and I'm going to give away a prize.